Welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. After recording last week, we had another couple of really great spring days of rain, which has been really wonderful. We had about 20 mil over 2 consecutive days, which has started to fill up our little dams, which then flow down into our big one. They're not 100% full yet, but they're very, very close. You sort of can't see any dirt anymore. It's up to the grass level. So as soon as we get any more rain now, that should flow on down into our larger dam and hopefully let it sort of at least get above just puddles in the bottom. And of course, the grass is now growing much, much higher. We are into the flowering grass season of the Wurundjeri people, which is creating a little bit of hay fever here for me. I've been coughing quite a bit and I've been quite congested in the nose. So, yeah, it's in terms of that. I'm not enjoying the season, but the weather has been really, really wonderful. And those days that rain, that hay fever goes away straight away. So, because it settles everything down. Another regular springtime occurrence here is that the ducks that live on our dam have their little flock of babies. So I'm pretty sure that they live up underneath one of our old sheds where they can get in under to protect themselves from predators like foxes and wild cats. And then you see them during the day waddling on down with this big amount of little babies down to the dams, and they're squawking around, and they're one at the front and one at the back, and there's normally a couple of other adults sort of posted. If you get too close, one of them does the whole lame duck thing and kind of tries to draw your attention away from the babies. And yeah, they seem to be very good in terms of looking after their young ones, because we always end up with a lot of those ducks maturing, and then we end up with even more ducks on our dam. I think some of them obviously go away somewhere else, but we do end up with quite a large flock here all the time. And this morning, actually, I was just moving the sheep in to have a little bit of grass out here, and I disturbed one of the families of ducks. They were, I don't know why they were in the sheep paddock, but they were sort of up against the fence right near where I walked past, and all of a sudden they were making all this noise and waddling their little babies off down to a safer place away from me. I realized after I recorded last week that I talked about dyeing yarn, but I didn't show you the colors or talk about them. And I know that's part of the fun of watching a hand dye, that you can see what colors that I've got coming up. So I'm going to show you them here now. I kind of have gone for a little bit of a summer vibe, but not overtly summer. And my thinking is that I'm replenishing my tonal solid sort of rainbow selection and bringing in a bit more of a summer vibe to those colors. And as I've been talking about these past few weeks in terms of what I'd like to do moving forward, is that I think that I will potentially rotate through the sort of the tones and the saturation of my semi-solids throughout the year, to reflect the season, or just to reflect how I'm feeling at the time. So here are the colors that I have dyed up recently. I have, where am I going to start? With the rose hip. So it's sort of like a pinkish red, but quite dark. Apricot, so a light orange. Aqua, light blue. And fairy floss, light pink. So I feel like these give off very tropical, beach kind of vibes, with a little bit of that sort of red pop coming in, which sort of sort of gets into the Christmassy realm as well. So that's kind of what I was going for with this selection of colors. So I will be adding these to my next market stall, which is next weekend in Warragul. So it is on the Sunday, the 23rd of November. And then my following market will be in Lower Templestowe on the 20, oh no, on the, not the 20, on the 6th of December. I'll put all the details on the screen. So this week I will be rescanning and labeling these. I'm going to figure out my stall configuration based on now what I have dyed up. My plan is also to try and get some more of my DK mini skeins done. I had a pick and mix situation at the last market I was at, and that was well received. So I'm going to add some colors to that selection. And if I have time, I may also do that for fingering weight mini skeins as well. I'll just see if I get enough time, and also if I'm motivated to wind down some mini skeins for you. So that will be coming up. Another week, another color on my love cardigan. I am just starting the transition into the third color. No, fourth color. Oh my goodness. So this is the love cardigan. I am doing it without the patterning, and I am just fading in some different colors of purples, and that looks pink, but it's a little more on the purple side that it's coming up on the screen. The solid colors are from Dizzy Devil Yarns in Tasmania. The variegateds that I'm mixing through were hand dyed by Robin of Unwind Craft Cafe, and I got those on a craft cruise that I went on, which was to Tasmania. So it's all sort of Tasmanian stash. And I have just started transitioning in my next variegated color, and this is the one I'm just about to finish up on. And then I need to wind this one up into a ball today, and it will be added in after this. So I'm really excited to continue on with that. So in about a week, I'm getting like a whole chunk of knitting done, which is quite a lot considering that it's a cardigan, because it's all of these stitches on the needle. Still really loving it, and I really can't wait for the finished product. I'm a little worried that when I get to the sleeves, I'm going to slow down, but I'm enjoying getting to the next transition of color, which is what's keeping me going. I was knitting last night on this actually, and I realized that I was at the point in this color that I needed to do the change. So that is why this one is hand wound, because I was sitting on the couch and I really couldn't be bothered getting up to go and wind it up. So I just wound it by hand, seeing it was only a mini skein, so that I could keep on going. So that is literally all of the knitting progress that I have this week. So I'm not a very entertaining knitting podcaster in terms of my knits at the moment, my whips, but I feel like I'm enjoying the non-mind bending process of knitting this, but the interest in terms of the color, it has just been such a joy to knit. So I am now thinking about what I may cast on next, although I still do have quite a bit to go on this, and I shouldn't jump too far ahead of myself. But I have had this skein of 100% cultivated silk in my stash for quite a long time. I was in part of a club. This is Highland Handmaids. She no longer dyes under this label. I think she's just started a new label called Blackbeard, or something to do with pirates. I'll see if I can find the details and I'll pop it below, but I think it's a very different style and vibe than these original ones. This is 100% silk. It's 430 yards. And I feel like this could become a really cute summer top. It's the only skein of 100% silk that I have, and it's quite variegated, but I feel like I might as well just give it a go and see if I can make something with it. Since I moved some stuff around, this sort of popped to the top of my stash when I was having to take things out and put things back in again, and I thought that I should use it. And I've been, as you can see from this previous project, and this is a Crystal Cat Stitchery bag, I've been really focusing on using my stash rather than going to use find a pattern first and then use the yarn. I'm trying to find the yarn and then decide what to make with that yarn. So I'm now in a bit of a rabbit hole spiral on Ravelry, trying to get the right search terms in to find a top that I can make with this. As I discussed a few weeks ago when I tried on things that I don't wear very often, I don't want it to be a V-neck. I found a really cute V-neck tank, and it also had a low V-neck on the back, so it was sort of like the same on both sides. And I almost bought the pattern, and then I was like, no, don't do that to yourself. You're not going to wear it, especially with the V on both sides. And it was quite deep. So thank goodness I kind of caught myself before I went ahead with that one. So I'm looking for something that is high neck, that has wide shoulders. So probably, sort of like vest kind of shoulders. So maybe I need to look at vest patterns. And that I can probably, sort of like a low sort of scoop neck, not super high like a t-shirt, but something that covers like the whole bra line and everything. So about here maybe. Knit top down so that I can use every single piece of yarn and not have to worry. So I am on the hunt. If you have any ideas for me, can you please post them below? I would love some suggestions. So it's 100% cultivated silk. It is a fingering weight, and I want to make myself a sleeveless summer scoop neck top, knit top down. Got a few requirements, and I've started to try and put that all into Ravelry, and you still end up getting things that don't match those searches. So I am going to be playing around with what I search for to try and see if I can find something. That's kind of all I have left to talk about this week. I have been watching the Game of Wool on YouTube. It tends to end up being released on YouTube on like the Monday or Tuesday after it's been aired in the UK on a Sunday evening. And if you haven't seen it, it's been getting quite mixed reviews. I like all of the contestants. They seem to have really nice personalities and they're working really well together. And it does seem to be showing that sort of that community of knitting. And I'm just not sure if, I don't know, there's already been some controversy over the first episode. They referred to Shetland and to Fair Isle, and they took it out of the context and used the terms not in their correct manner. There are many other podcasts out there that are talking about this. The Yarn Library podcast is a really good one to listen to or watch if you haven't been following along with this. They very researched in what they talk about, and I've been finding that really interesting as a sort of a follow-up to watch after I have seen the episodes. The difficulty I find with it is that they are literally doing like speed challenges like they do in like those baking competitions and the sort of sewing competitions. And for me, knitting and crochet are much more of a slow craft and a lot more of a mindful thing. And to produce a garment in a 12-hour period is completely insane and means that they are using quite bulky yarn and big needles. And although we all do knit those things, or crochet those things, there are still all of those fine things that we do. So I'm hoping that as the show gets on, they are allowing the contestants a little more time for some of their items, because otherwise you're going to end up looking very same the whole way through the show, because everything is going to be knit on like a chunky yarn. It's also interesting the level of skill that they have and what they have been doing previously. Some of them are primarily crocheters, which is then difficult for them because a lot of the content so far has been knitting. And then there are some of them who are primarily knitters, and so then for them to do anything crochet is also very difficult. It feels like they should be able to do either knit or crochet and produce whatever the item is that they are being called for to do on the show. I don't know. That's my personal opinion, because it's Game of Wool. It's not Game of Knitters or Game of Crocheters. And it does, like, the tagline is like, like Britain's best knitter, but some of them are clearly more crocheters than knitters. So I'm not sure if they've hit the mark 100% in terms of what they're calling the show. Um, and they have missed it a little bit in terms of some of the terminologies and explaining some of the techniques and things that have been used so far. I think if you take out the really critical, you know, if we really live in this environment and that's everything that we do, and you take that sort of real critical eye off it, it is a really entertaining show. And what they're producing, especially given their time constraints, is absolutely amazing. I certainly could not, even for a chunky item, knit in that amount of time. As you can see, I'm very much a slow knitter, and I also don't tend to do a lot of patterning or out of the box techniques. I really have to be in the mood and focused to do those things, and those whips get put on hold and then they come back out when I have a little bit more time. But I wouldn't want to be rushing to do any of them. Um, so I'm going to be continuing to watch the Game of Wool, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I'm sure there'll be little bits and pieces that come up. So check out what's being said on the internet and try and see if you can follow along with it as well, because even though it does have its flaws, it is quite entertaining. And it is nice to see knitting and crochet in quite a public, accessible kind of format that might be engaging those that may not otherwise see it and maybe think that it's a bit of a grandma craft. And they have a very broad range of contestants on that show. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.